There's a number sitting in someone's bank account right now. It has a minus sign in front of it. Not minus 1,000, not minus 500, minus $4. A coffee subscription they forgot about. A charge that processed at 2 a.m. while they were asleep. And within the hour, before they even wake up, the bank takes $35 from an account that doesn't have $35. That's not a glitch. That's policy. And here's what nobody tells you. That same bank, that exact same institution, will one day send a human being, not a chatbot, not an automated email, a real person, to your office with printed reports in a leather folder to ask about your estate plans. Same bank, same building, different number next to your name. This is what happens at every level, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Level 1, the minus sign, $4. That's all it was. A scheduled charge you forgot. Coffee, maybe a streaming service, something small enough that on a good month you don't even notice it leave. But this wasn't a good month. You went negative. The bank sees it instantly. The system flags it within seconds, and $35 disappears from your account before you've had time to read the notification. Think about that math for a second. You made a $4 mistake. The penalty is $35. The fee is 8 times larger than the error, but it doesn't stop there. While you're staring at your phone trying to figure out what just happened, another old subscription processes $7, forgotten, and because your account is already negative, because the system can see you're already underwater, it doesn't pause. It doesn't flag it for review. It charges you another $35. You now owe $77 to a bank that took $35 from a $4 mistake. You call. You wait on hold for 22 minutes. Someone answers, reads from a script, tells you the fees cannot be reversed at this time. You ask for a manager. They say someone will call back within 48 hours. Nobody calls back. The next morning, your rent payment fails. Late fee, $75. Your phone bill bounces, another $25. The math you couldn't fix at $4 is now $200 deep, and it grew in directions you never authorized. You skip lunch on Wednesday, not by choice. You walk past the place you usually eat and keep walking like you weren't going there anyway. A coworker asks if you want to grab food after work. You say you already ate. You didn't. This is the part nobody talks about. Hunger at this level isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's the kind you perform your way through because you've learned how to look fine when you're not. You walk into the branch on Friday to try to sort it out in person. The teller looks at her screen. Her face shifts, not into anger, not into sympathy, into something colder than both, something professional and distant. You watch yourself stop being a person in that interaction and start being a category, a risk score, a flag in the system. You leave without saying what you came to say, because somewhere between the $4 charge and the unreturned phone call and the bounced rent, you stopped feeling like a customer. You started feeling like a problem, and the system, the same system, was built to make you feel exactly that way. Level 2, $200. You pulled it back. 20 hours of overtime. Skipped expenses. Careful, exhausting math done in your head at 11 p.m. And you did it. The account is positive. $200 sitting there, stable, yours. Nobody clapped. Nobody noticed. The bank noticed, just not the way you hoped. The maintenance fee hits anyway. $12, sometimes $15, quietly withdrawn with no notification. No warning. The system just executes. The minimum balance to avoid it is $1,500. You don't have $1,500. So, the fee stays. You're paying a bank to hold the money you barely have. You apply for a credit card, real credit, something with a limit you can use in an emergency. They offer you a secured card. You have to give them $300 of your own money so they can lend it back to you and charge you 24% interest for the privilege. Read that again. They want your money as collateral to extend you credit from your own pocket. You don't take it, which means when your tire blows on a Tuesday morning, you cannot put it on a card. You ride 3 buses to get to work. You arrive 2 hours late. Your manager doesn't fire you. He just looks at you a little longer than usual. You go back to the branch about the maintenance fee. The teller is helping the person ahead of you, smiling, asking about their weekend. The energy in that interaction is warm, easy, human. You step up. The smile shifts, becomes professional, trained. The warmth doesn't transfer. She processes your request in under a minute. Doesn't ask if there's anything else. Doesn't say, "Have a good day." The next person steps up, and the smile returns like a light switch. You walk to the door carrying something you've never been able to name. You weren't refused. You weren't insulted. You were moved through like luggage on a conveyor belt, efficiently, impersonally, like something to be processed, not someone to be served. At $200, the bank doesn't see you as a customer. At $200, the bank doesn't see you at all. You exist on their books. You don't exist in their attention. Transition. And here's what's brutal about this. The people being charged $35 for $4 mistakes are not irresponsible. They are not lazy. They are not bad with money. They are one unexpected charge away from a cascade they cannot stop. And the system knows this. The system was designed with this in mind. Overdraft fees generate billions of dollars every year, and the majority of that money comes from a small percentage of account holders, the same people over and over, the ones who can least afford it. The penalty for being broke is that you become more broke. That is not an accident. That is architecture. Level 3, $2,000. Something changed. Not in you, not in your habits, not in your character, not in who you are as a person. Something changed in how the bank looks at you. Your direct deposit hits every 2 weeks, $1,600 after taxes, consistent, predictable. You've held this pattern for 6 months. Same employer, same amount, same schedule. And the system noticed, not a person. The system, an algorithm that monitors behavioral patterns and assigns you a new category without ever asking your name. The maintenance fee disappears, not because you called, not because you complained, not because someone reviewed your account and decided you deserved a break. The system saw your direct deposit pattern and waived it automatically. The same fee that quietly drained your account for years. The fee nobody warned you about. The fee with no notification just stopped existing. Nothing changed about your character. Nothing changed about your need. The only thing that changed is that your behavior now matches a profile that makes the bank money. So they let you keep yours. Then the credit card offers start arriving, real ones, not secured cards requiring your own money as collateral, actual cards, $2,000 limits, your name printed cleanly on the envelope. Inside the letter, a word you haven't seen directed at you from a financial institution before. Pre-approved. The same bank that denied you 8 months ago is now mailing you envelopes with metallic ink and language designed to make you feel chosen. You apply. Approved in 90 seconds. The notification lands on your phone, and the feeling it produces is complicated, not just relief, something stranger. Because you didn't change. The number changed. You walk into the branch, and the teller says good morning before you reach the counter. Not the warmth she gives the wealthy client, not the silence she gave you at $200, something in between. Recognition without real interest. Service without effort. The functional middle ground where most working Americans spend their entire lives, never invisible, never truly seen. You apply for a small loan, $5,000 for car repairs, approved in 48 hours. Interest rate, 11%. Not great, not predatory. The process worked the way the commercials always promised it would. And standing there, holding the approval letter, you realize something nobody ever told you out loud. The bank doesn't care who you are. The bank cares what your account looks like. At $2,000 with consistent deposits, Your account looks like something they can sell products to. You're not invisible anymore. But you're not respected either. You're profitable, and profitable gets you service. Not humanity, not warmth, just the version of attention that makes financial sense for them. Level 4, $15,000. You log into the app on a Tuesday morning and notice your credit limit changed. You didn't apply. You didn't request a review. You didn't call anyone. 4,000 became 9,500 overnight. The bank just decided you were worth more rope. Then the phone rings. Not automated, not a robocall, a person, a real person who introduces himself twice, gives you his direct number, and actually asks about your financial goals, your timeline, your saving strategy. He says the bank has assigned you a relationship banker. You sit with that for a second. The same institution that left you on hold for 40 minutes at $200 just called you first thing on a Tuesday morning to schedule a 15-minute financial review. The price of money gets cheaper, too. You buy a used car. The dealer pulls your credit. The interest rate that would have been 11% at $2,000 drops to 6.8 at $15,000. You didn't negotiate harder. You didn't find a better salesperson. The cost of borrowing money simply fell because you stopped looking like a risk. A fee appears on your statement, $32. You email your banker, not a call center, not a form, not a phone tree, your banker. 3 hours later, it's reversed. One reply, 2 sentences, done. The same fees that once drained your account for being $4 short are now reversed on request, casually, like they were never meant to apply to someone like you, because they weren't. You start receiving emails with personalized subject lines, small touches, your first name used like the bank knows you. It doesn't, but it's learning the language of making you feel like it does. And the distinction matters less than you'd think, because the feeling works regardless. Here is what becomes clear at $15,000. The bank was never cruel to you when you were broke. Cruelty requires intention. What the bank gave you at $4 and at $200 was something colder than cruelty. Indifference, and indifference at scale, multiplied across millions of accounts, executed by automated systems, delivered by trained tellers following scripts, looks identical to cruelty from the inside. You're not a customer they neglected. You're a balance sheet entry they ignored. At $15,000, the entry is worth paying attention to. Level 5, $80,000. The word preferred appears on your statement, on the welcome screen when you log in, on the email signature of the man who manages your account, in the subject line of correspondence you didn't know you'd start receiving. You didn't earn the word. The number earned it for you. Your relationship banker becomes a real person now, not a title, not a function. A person named David who remembered 9 months ago that you mentioned your sister lives in Chicago. He emails on your birthday, not automated, written, specific, the level of detail that makes you feel remembered by someone who genuinely isn't, because he was trained to remember, because remembering keeps accounts. You walk into a branch and someone stands up, not the teller, not someone behind a counter, someone with an office and a nameplate who walks toward you before you've reached the rope line, who guides you past the queue where everyone else waits, the same queue you stood in at $200 without ever knowing there was another option. A pre-approval letter arrives in the mail, not for a credit card, for a $400,000 mortgage. The bank decided what you could afford before you decided to buy a house. They want the loan before you've chosen the property. A competitor bank calls, they've matched your rates and want to beat them on a savings tier. You mention this to David. He calls back within an hour, not a business day, an hour, with a counteroffer. The institution that once couldn't find time to return a phone call within 48 hours is now competing to keep you within 60 minutes. At $80,000, you understand something the system never publishes. Fees are not fixed costs. They are variable and charged to the people who cannot push back and waived for the people who can. The rules printed on the documents you signed aren't rules, they're defaults, and defaults only apply to people who don't know they can ask otherwise. Level 6 and beyond, the truth behind all of it. At $500,000, the bank comes to you. David doesn't email, David calls, and when he calls, he brings a colleague, someone who handles wealth management, who drives to your location with printed reports inside a leather folder and spends 90 minutes asking about your tax structure and estate plans. At $5 million, you have a private banker who manages fewer than 20 accounts. He knows your children's names. The interest rate on your mortgage isn't posted anywhere because it doesn't exist until it's negotiated. The paperwork that takes a regular customer 2 weeks gets processed in 48 hours because someone was told whose account it belongs to. At $25 million, you stop being a customer entirely. You become a partner. Investments are brought to you before they're publicly available. Deals are structured around your participation before you've agreed to participate. The chief investment officer asks for your opinion. The head of private banking flies out to consult you on what products their next tier of clients should expect. You are now shaping the institution that once charged you $35 for a $4 mistake. The same institution, the same building, the same system. The close. Here's what all of this means. Right now, at this exact moment, someone is staring at a negative balance, $4, a scheduled charge they forgot. They're on hold. The music is looping. A voice will answer eventually, read from a script, and tell them the fee cannot be reversed at this time. They think the system failed them. It didn't. The system worked exactly the way it was designed to work. It extracted maximum value from someone with minimum leverage. It charged the highest fees to the people least able to absorb them. It reserved its warmth, its flexibility, its humanity for the people who needed it least. This isn't a story about one bank. This is a story about how money is treated in this country and who gets to know the rules. The person at -$4 and the person receiving private investment opportunities before they go public are not different kinds of people. They are the same person at different points in time, or they would be if the system didn't make climbing out so deliberately expensive. The bank doesn't change at every level. The bank reveals what it always was, a mirror that only shows you your reflection clearly once you've already paid to stand in front of it.